Welcome to Raptorisms over Crystalis episode 6. In this video, I'm going to keep working my way through the northern mazes of Mount Saber, and I'm going to get up to the boss but not take him on just yet because, well, first of all, I'm still only at level 6 and I need to grind up to level 7 in order to cause any damage, and also, I'm low on magic points, and this is one of the hardest bosses in the game, level for level, so I'm not going to take him on unless I'm at full strength. Instead, I'll collect some of the necessary items from around where the boss is, and then head back to the inn where I can rest up, and then go straight to the boss without taking any detours. Now on to today's rant. It's come to my attention that the Trogdor flash animation from Homestar Runner is now 18 years old. Back in the day, I remember a lot of people around me loving that video and Homestar Runner in general. Now, I've seen that video several times, I think it's really funny, but it's the only thing from Homestar Runner that I even recall at this point, and I wasn't a fan of Homestar Runner in general aside from that video. So instead, I want to talk about the flash animation series that I was a really big fan of, that being the One Ring to Rule Them All trilogy from Joseph Blanchett, aka Legendary Frog of the Legendary Lily Pad. First, I want you to think back to what the internet was like in 2003, and I say that fully realizing that some of you were too young to remember, assuming you were even born back then. Back in 2003, the internet was slow, and there was no YouTube or anything like that, so video content was really hard to come by. This is why short flash animations, which might not seem like anything special nowadays, were so special back then. And it's also why you ended up watching the same flash animations over and over again. It's not like you had some endless supply of new content to immediately jump to whenever you wanted. So one day I just happened to stumble across the Legendary Lily Pad, and it's not like they had that many flash videos out there. These things take a lot of time and effort to make. So I scrolled through a list of their videos, and I picked the ones that are based on series or games that I'm familiar with, like Lord of the Rings, One Ring to Rule Them All, some Final Fantasy videos, and some Zelda videos as well. First, let's talk about the One Ring to Rule Them All trilogy, which left the biggest impression on me because the Lord of the Rings movies were still in theaters at this time. Also, these flash animations provided something that I wanted to get from the movies but didn't, and that is screen time for Sauron, the main antagonist of the Lord of the Rings. The main gag in these videos is that Sauron describes everything as the one, fill in the blank, to rule them all. It's the kind of thing I could easily see starting out as an inside joke among a group of friends, you know, back in the day when people actually hung out with each other, and then someone saying, hey, why not make some dumb little flash animation about this? So they ended up making the first video in the One Ring to Rule Them All trilogy, and this one basically it's fairly short, it reuses the same joke, one blah 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 to rule them all, and they also throw in a lot of Simpsons references, which definitely appeals to me as an old school Simpsons fan, but most people on the internet were just like me back in the day. They loved the Simpsons, they understood all of these jokes. And that's something I really miss about the internet from back in the day. There was a Simpsons joke for every occasion, and everyone understood them. There's really nothing like that these days. The closest thing I guess you might have to it is SpongeBob. And I'm not sure that my disdain came across clearly enough just now, but from what little I've seen of SpongeBob, it is absolutely terrible. And that may be the topic of a future video. But for now, let's take a look back at Crystalis. As you can see, I've successfully grinded my way up to level 7, but my magic points are less than half, I don't have full health, and so I'm definitely not going to take on the boss in this state. Instead, I'm just going to take care of business behind these two ice walls, and then head back to Nadare's Inn so I can rest up. For now, I'm just going to clean up some of these soldiers with the Sword of Wind, and I don't recommend going out of your way to fight these guys. They are fast, they will cause a lot of damage, and the fact that you have to use the Sword of Wind means that you can't quickly go through ice walls, but just to make sure that nobody actually hurts me while I'm trying to open up the ice walls, I'll clear these guys out of the way for now. Anyway, let's see what's behind ice wall number 1. I'm pretty sure it's safe, but let me put on the Sword of Wind just to make sure. Alright, and it's some villagers. Thank you for saving me. So you saved us, big deal. And yeah, same guy over here. So now let's put on the Sword of Fire one more time so we can take down the ice wall in the back, because there is a really important item back here. And you're not going to want to have to come back for it later, especially after you've taken on the boss. Okay, looks safe, no enemies here, and now we have the key to the prison. This opens the area behind the boss after you've defeated him, and if you've taken on the boss, you're low on hit points, and then you realize, aw crap, I can't actually enter into the passage behind him, I need to keep wandering around Mount Saber. That's a really dangerous position to be in. Anyway, let's see what's behind ice wall number 2. Got some more villagers here, and the first one says the people of Dragonia are making a special metal from the minerals we dig here. The elder is held prisoner at the top of the mountain, and they will kill him if we don't work. Thank you for saving me. Well, finally someone's thankful. There are village people in the next prison as well, and I heard that part of the prison wall is connected to the top. Alright, so these are the last of the villagers from the village of Leaf, and if we go past this ice wall, we'll get up to the boss of this level. But as I said before, we don't want to take on the boss without full health, so instead we're just going to check out the area and then head back to Nadare's Inn. Anyway, let's get back to the One Ring to Rule Them All trilogy. Part 1, fairly short, fairly basic, but it must have done really well because then they came out with a much longer Part 2 and Part 3. Part 2 is basically a parody of the final movie, in which Sauron did basically nothing to keep the hobbits away from Mount Doom. I'd say that this is the best part of the trilogy. Part 3 then veers off into its own direction, and it's still kind of funny, but it seemed like a good place to call it quits. Although technically, they did have one more entry in the series. They went back to the first video and redid it to update the animation and the voice acting. I recommend watching both versions of the first video. They each have something uniquely funny about them. So now let's head outside, and we can see that up this staircase is where the boss would be, but if we took him on right now, we would almost certainly die. And I say almost because I guess if I used the magic ring, we could somehow pull off the victory, but the magic ring is a rare and expensive item, so I don't want to have to use that unless things really get desperate. So we can actually work our way down to Nadari's Inn by sliding down these ice slides. We do have enough magic points to use teleport, but why waste magic points when sliding around is so much more fun? Okay, we are now back at the inn, and with the last of our magic points, let's see if telepathy can finally tell us something useful for a change. I have a feeling it won't, but let's give it a shot anyway. When you Great General Kabelske, use the Sword of Wind. Okay, spelling mistake there. The Flame Bracelet will maximize the Sword of Fire's power. Find it. Okay, well, we'll do that anyway. Kensu Asina, they're not going to tell us anything useful, so let's take that off and rest up. Okay, this is the shop. We don't need anything here. We'll stay at the inn, and it's gonna cost us $50. That's expensive, but it's worth it because we gotta get right to the boss in this same general area. Alright, so that's all for now, and in the next video, we will finally take on General Kabelske and finish off Mount Saber.